Nope, nope, nope. We're on episode 44. I said no, no! Dang it. 1 second.
To pull up show notes.
Alright. We are now in Tree Show pre-show.
That says episode 40.
It did, and I changed it to 44. That's why I said, oh no, oh no.
Oh, I just got the live thing for 40.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to check the volume for me? Because I can't really, have too much going here. Can you hear me in the Twitch? Once we get going, I'll read. I can try to monitor chat, but... Okay, I can hear me. That's good. Now you speak.
Trying to find my mute button. There we go. Okay. Do I sound okay on the Twitchers? I think I sound a little low.
You sound fine to me.
Maybe.
Checking the studio lighting.
Might just be that it's weird for me to hear my own voice.
It's been a while. No, wait, you were here last week.
Yeah, I was here last week. And hopefully,
last week was crazy.
Hopefully I'll be able to be available. Yeah. Hopefully we got a little bit better routine going with everything. Getting there. It's not perfect. But getting there.
Alright, turn down some of that background noise.
Yeah, we need to hire a, what do you call a sound person? It's hard to adjust volumes and have a headphone in my ear and then listen to other stuff because I'm hearing a loop at that point. I don't mess with ours on my end too much because it should be fine as long as it stays set. As long as nobody changes anything on their end as far as mics that you're using or anything like that might be more sensitive. Or less, whatever.
Alright, I just gotta remember to actually, move around so it doesn't stall out on me this time. Anyway, to anyone listening to the Tree Show pre-show, look, we finally have enough shelves. Now we just need to fill them.
Yay, books.
Yay, sorting books. And I did learn that I do not actually have all of the books. I do need to get more books.
Fine. What is
but I'm determined to make them all fit.
What is the limit for space in the Snugpod again?
200.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it might not be too fancy, and we might not be as cluttered as we are, but they'll fit.
Yeah.
It will still be functional. I'll still make sure we keep the functional things. That and the special item counts are a different thing. The only things that would count towards traditional are the crafting stations, and those are fine. That's 3 things. Right. So.
I'm so curious to find out what how those other crafting, the tunables are going to work.
Oh my gosh, I must know. I must know.
It's going to eliminate the need for big houses for a lot of people.
It will never eliminate the need for big houses. Do you know how much people work on trying to decorate those houses?
I say for a lot of people. A lot of people just have big houses like that for guild halls that they just put all those stations in and don't really do a lot to. I have been in some that are just like literally just a bunch of stations and like test dummies and stuff like that, and not really a lot of decoration in.
Good for them.
So for people like that, they could be like, hey, I can just stick a target dummy in the middle, and then all the stations around the walls and the Snugpod work.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't want the target dummy in the same house as all of the crafting stations if you're like trying to focus on actual parsing numbers per time, because you want as minimal items in there as possible so it loads better. They'd be two different houses. But that's only if you're crazy serious.
Yeah.
We're not crazy serious.
I'm only slightly crazy.
None of us here are crazy serious.
Cool.
All right.
You ready
Got
to
our
start?
volume? You ready to get started?
Yep.
Ha, Jinx. I mean, not you, Jinx. You're fine, Jinx. got a little Jacques by my feet. Anyway.
Okay, there you go. I took part of mine since you jinxed me. I sent you something in Discord.
Oh, whoops. Okay. Expect me to look at Discord?
You jinxed me, so I had to get you a Coke. So.
No, I jinxed the cat. She looked at me like I was crazy. Anyway.
Alright. So if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
We can get started. Okay. Hello, welcome to A Snugpod Cast. If you're joining us live, you may notice that we are just two tonight, but not the two that it's been in recent weeks. A different two, one of the same, one different, me. But I am never separate, and I have with me the one, the only, Gwen the Bard. What's up, my friend?
When the sleep deprived. Apparently one of us always has to be super sleep deprived when we do a show.
At least
and I don't know. For the life of me, I could not sleep last night. I woke up at like 12:30 a.m. So like before the Akatasha messes with time, right? And then I had to stay awake to give my cat his medicine, and then finally I fall asleep. And not like even a half hour later, I get kid aggro. So I've been awake all day. But I'm not really feeling it too bad. I have the energy beverages, the potion of stamina. We're good to go.
Nice.
But in-game stuff. That's the important stuff. That's the important how we're doing, right?
Right.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know how you're doing. I know we can talk game stuff. So. Yeah.
Okay.
What have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot of things in a lot of places. So in our version of the ESO, I have been doing housing, but I have not been doing housing for myself. I mean, kind of for myself. I decided to enter a housing contest for like tavern design. So I ended up working on that instead of, maybe sorting the library like I should have been. But it looks great, I promise. It will be my main house for the rest of the week. And then I've been trying to relearn Tales of Tribute, which is pretty fun. However, also in my Morrowind adventures, I finally ranked up in the Mages Guild after running around for mushrooms, and they're already throwing me at the Telvanni, so apparently I'm doing Mages Guild and Telvanni at the same time, because I've never played that. That's like everyone's favorite, and so I'm currently on that adventure to try to see why everyone loves it before Necrom comes out. And then a crazy thing happened today, okay? A super, super ridiculous, crazy, never thought this would happen thing when I decided to play on PC today.
I didn't think
I
it
mean,
would happen.
I didn't even know I was going to play on PC today. But I'm jumping ahead here. The Vardenfell weekend celebration, they're doing trials, community trials. And in one of the Stream 2 member streams, they're like, you know what? We're just going to let anyone in. Anyone. Warm bodies. We're looking for warm bodies. And I'm like, what's the level requirement? They're like, level 3. I'm like, okay. So I join up, and I'm like level 39. So I did Halls of Fabrication as a level 39.
Nice.
And that was great. uh,
So you got
it was
some
fun.
sticker book gear at the very least.
I did. Someone also gave me some extra gear, so they're like, here's for your sticker book when you actually level up. And I'm like, yes.
Nice.
So that was lovely, and that was a fun time. I didn't expect anything like that to happen, and we all had a good laugh about it, because, yeah. Going as level 39, I didn't even gain a full level. I had on an XP scroll. I just became level 39 when we started this, and I didn't even get in a full level. We were all some people were guessing how many levels I was going to gain from it for funsies, and I didn't even gain a full level. I feel gypped, but it was still a good time.
Hmm.
So what have you been up to this week?
Well, in real life, just hecticness. Um, I won't get into details here, but um, I've been just still kind of a crazy schedule. Some big changes in life, trying to adjust, and other folks trying to adjust, and not bad. What's up? For those watching and realizing that Crazy's not with us, you just typed in on the chat and said, "Hey." So, um, so hello, Crazy. Um, if you can't be here with us, glad you can at least be watching. You can make sure we
She's in
don't.
your chat?
Yeah. Um, but anyway, but because of things being sort of hectic, which feels like they just are always that way, such as life, I guess. Um, I haven't been able to do just a ton in game, but what I've been trying to do, and I spent more time, I don't know, probably a week or so ago, maybe after the last show, I don't remember. Um, I started trying to get the lead from the Murkmire safe boxes for Oaken Soul, and I did probably 15 or 20 safe boxes and never got the lead. And, and I logged out inside one of the houses that you can find a safe box, and when I log on to get my daily rewards, which is all I've had much time to do, I just check and see if that safe box is there when I log on. And Ember's out with me, and um, I haven't been able to. Haven't had much luck because that spot there's somebody in there watching all the time, and so I've had to I've lost rapport with her because I keep getting caught. Need to rethink that.
Oh, oh,
But
sad.
anyway, yeah. So I've been logging in, getting daily rewards, and trying to grab that lead, and no luck so
Oh,
far.
so you haven't got it yet?
Not yet, no. Um, I might try to a little tonight once we're done to run around and grab a few more and see if I get lucky. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, other than that, not a whole lot. Sure, I've been spending a little time going in my head about what I might do with my tank setup, since the setup that I just built out not long ago, um, they changed one of the abilities and it doesn't work like it did, so it kind of changes part of the way I was trying to do stuff. But anyway, that hasn't gone live for us yet, but I think with the next update, that change goes into place, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of the ice staff abilities. Basically, my immobilization skill. I will not be able to immobilize anymore. I'll only be able to slow. Um, so the joys of Templar tank not having as much access to some of those abilities. But anyway, um, yeah, and that's largely been about it. I do need to check something. Crazy said my audio sounded a little hollow. I think that's what I noticed earlier. So I'm gonna take a look at that real quick. If you've got something to say for a moment.
Uh, um, the streams, and I did not. These are Vardvarks you could also have beforehand, and so I decided in the spirit of that, let's bring out our Vardvarks because mine really don't get enough love. So here they are for the weekend. Let's see if I can find us some Vardvark facts. Well, the Vardvarks are made by House Telvanni, and there is some fun stuff about them. There it is. Alright, so fun facts about Vardvarks. The first Vardvark was named Master Scalytail, and it was supposedly there was never going to be any more, that he was going to be the last of his kind. But apparently we have so many Vardvarks because someone couldn't say no to their daughter who wanted more. As for who is which Vardvark tonight, they are their own Vardvarks. If I only have these two, if I had the Mossy Vardvark, that one would have definitely been crazy because Wood Elf, so Mossy Vardvark makes sense. But we'll say she's the stripy one then. And then the regular Vardvark can be his own Vardvark. Or the Bardvark. That will be our Bardvark.
The
regular one. Yep, the regular one will be the Bardvark. This is why we need housing instruments. Why don't we have housing instruments yet? You can't be a Bardvark without an instrument. But
yeah, we totally need a bard. By the way, I'm sorry about the delay. I actually was trying to chime in and realized that when I switched my mics, that it was muted. It automatically muted when I first switched to it. Anyway.
Oh, you're fine. I was expecting to ramble on about Vardvarks at some point in the stream. That was just a good time for it, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. But anyway, yeah, hopefully that'll sound a little bit better now. I realized that I had my headset mic and the mic is behind my ear, so that would explain why it sounded like it did. Anyway, yeah.
Like I said, I just assumed it was your southern accent.
Yeah. I mean, there's that too, I suppose. Awesome.
All right, so we do actually have news this week.
News.
Besides, I'm going to Vegas officially. I got my ticket. Yay!
Awesome. Did you get into the event too?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, oh no, that I had booked before I got to the event.
Awesome.
But yes, I got into the event, and so I'm excited for that. Crazy will also be going as well, so 2 members of the Snugpod Cast will be there. If anyone sees us, of course, just say hi. Let's see. And yeah, that's just a side note. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. But for actual news for the week, we'll just go in order. We have the developer Morrowind Nostalgia. Now, this isn't something we can really talk about. This is something for the developers to talk about. So we'll pin this video in the show notes. But basically what it is, it's the developers talking about how they remember Morrowind and everything. And it's an old video back from when they first created the Vardenfelling game in ESO. So that's cool that it's something that's brought up to play now for everyone and everything. So that will be, Never will link that in the show notes for YouTube if anyone wants to watch that, which I do recommend. It's really cute and heartfelt.
I can remember when Morrowind came out and all the talk about how how much fun they had trying to go back in and recreate that world.
Yeah. You remember that? This is before, that was, yeah, when Vardenfell and Morrowind and everything came out for ESO, that was before I paid attention to the ESO fam on the internet, so I don't remember any of that hype, but if you want to talk about that, go for it.
I mean, I don't remember just a ton about it. I just remember, like when these articles would come out and the developers would talk about, being able to go back into that world and recreate some of the things that, should and would still, would have been in that time. But then also being able to play around with, what might have been different. I'm trying to remember, did Morrowind happen before or after ESO?
Morrowind, the
original
game?
The mainline game, yeah.
Oh, it happened like 20 years ago this year.
Well, no, I don't mean I mean
yeah.
time. The Elder Scrolls timeline.
Oh, after.
Okay, so ESO is prior to.
Which is weird. I mean, it makes sense, but it's weird because if you go into Morrowind in the game, you see, the Vex city's finished. It's all done. It's made. It's more of a maze than what it originally was. Cough, cough. It's a maze. It's pretty, but it's a maze. You got that. But then also other things like the silt, because I've been playing it right now. But like little comparisons I've noticed, the stilt striders, they're fancy towers and everything that we have in ESO, they're gone. They don't exist anymore. They've crumbled down, and all that's left is like planks and ladders to get up there.
Oh, nice. So they are
ladders and rock rubble.
So they are there. I guess the remains of them are there.
It's like giant rocks and stuff, but it looks like rubble pretty much.
Okay.
So it's not. There might not necessarily be towers. It's like a long time in the future.
Right. So if you remember, like when Skyrim, when they brought out the Skyrim DLC for ESO, if you remember kind of how they talked about recreating some of the same places in ESO that that people might be familiar with in Skyrim, like Markarth, I believe, things like that, and trying to bring that into this game. The Morrowind conversation when they had those articles coming out was very similar to that, just in terms of the way that they talked about just their approach to it and the challenges and that they had and the fun they had with being able to do something new with something familiar. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've been going through and trying to get like comparison screenshots in Morrowind to like ESO, just out of curiosity of where things are, and you'll be walking through and it's like, oh, that bridge is there, but the water level is a lot lower than what it was in ESO, or stuff like that, or things are more dried up over here.
So does it feel 1-to-1?
Sometimes I can recognize exactly where I am, but like there's definitely a scaled down graphics. It's an older game,
right.
So it's not going to feel the same. But as I'm going through, as someone who's never been in Morrowind before, except for in ESO, I can recognize where I am in some places. If I'm on the road, I can recognize that, oh, I need to go this way to Vivek City, or this is where I'm at by Balmora, because I'm used to running around in Vardenfell and ESO, so the map is similar enough that I'm not getting too lost.
Cool. Yeah, I think it would be kind of cool to go back and explore some of the environments in Morrowind, but being a PlayStation player, I don't have access to that game. I think the only ones that PlayStation ever got were Oblivion and Skyrim. So, and actually,
before ESO, I only ever actually played on the Xbox, because that's just what I got. That's what I got my Skyrim on, was an Xbox.
Yeah, I'm not actually entirely sure if Oblivion was on PlayStation. Probably was. It might have been on PlayStation 3 though, and never got moved to the 4. Maybe that's what it was, and that's why I never played it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's cool. I did get a chance on the first or second day, I think, that you were streaming, to jump in and see some of that. And it was kind of neat looking at, it definitely looks dated, but it's cool seeing, like, you were walking up I think it was in the temple, maybe, or like the big.
Oh my gosh! Yes, and
yeah, walking around in the city there. So that was kind of neat
and
to
you
see
and Al, and were you like coming up with that horrible song? Oh my gosh, no, that's stuck in my head again.
Oh, I must have forgotten. There was a song?
Yes, please. Good. I'm glad you forgot. Don't go back and remember. It was great. It was bad. It was great. I catch myself singing it from time to time when I go into Vivek City now, and I'm like, why? Why did they do this to me?
Well, I'm glad to have such a profound influence singing a song that I don't recall myself. Very cool. Yeah, that's so you've been having fun with that then?
It has been fun. I didn't think I was gonna have fun. I thought I was gonna hate it because we went into this year with me being honest and saying I'm not really a fan of the Dark Elves. I'm not a fan of the Tribunal. I'm not a fan of volcanoes and lava. This is not my setting or aesthetic at all. If it wasn't for Hermaeus Mora, I probably would completely skip the chapter. But for something I went into originally hating, I'm actually enjoying it and I'm starting to like it. There's no characters I'm attached to yet. I was almost attached to one, but apparently they were a Kimura Tong and therefore a nuisance. And I left them in the bottom of a mine accidentally, but they are now forever in the bottom of that mine. I only feel bad about... Huh?
Was this the Argonian that pretended to be a slave or something?
He was such a tool. Yeah, his name was Tool. Anyway. I only feel bad about it because it is now confirmed the Dark Brotherhood assassins are no longer showing up because they were trying to kill him in the middle of the night. And so now I'm not getting in that steady stream of gold that I was from selling all the extra Dark Brotherhood armor.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could probably go make them mad some other way, right?
I'll figure it out. Well, yeah, no, they were coming to kill him, and he'd kill them, and then I'd just loot the corpse. It was a good system. It was a cheatsy system, but it was a good system.
Can you imagine?
Anyway.
Can you imagine if if that were translated into our real life scenarios, where some assassination team went around and then people were just looting. There was just naked bodies laying everywhere. That would be so odd.
You can dispose of corpse. It took me I don't know how many things I killed before someone pointed out that on the left hand side of the panel you can click this button that says dispose of corpse, and then the corpse disappears. And I'm not used to that.
Where does it go?
It just, I don't know, you get rid of the corpse. I don't know if you burn the body or what, but all of a sudden, poof, no more corpse.
All right.
And I'm okay with that. That's fine. That makes sense.
It's like the that Ben Stiller movie where they've created the vaporize. Where does the poo go? Anyway, if you haven't seen it, don't bother. It's kind of stupid.
It sounds like it.
Where does the corpse go? It has to go somewhere. Don't eat the apples above it. It might have evaporated onto that apple. Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, let's talk about positives about Vardenfell. The next article that we have is 5 must-see Morrowind marvels. And they are the Sadrith Mora's Mushroom Towers, which is of House Telvanni. Also recommended if you go over there, loot things. Be a thief. Steal things. Don't bring Bastion with you, but do it. Steal all the things. And then various Bardvarks and other beasties. I don't know how those are a marvel, the other beasties at least, but Bardvarks are amazing. As we have pictured here, our lovely co-hosts, they know they're amazing. The Tribunal. This part I'll read for you guys. In Morrowind, it's possible to meet your gods. You can find the Tribunal made up of Amalexia, Vivec, and Sothasil in Vardenfell, Deshaun, and other more secret esoteric realms. Who better to discuss the mysteries of the universe with than living gods of the Dark Elves? Just don't let any nearby ordinators hear you question their divinity. I will question their divinity. We know they're not divine. We know how they became divine. They are not really divine. I'm a wood elf, though. Dark elf lovers, don't hate. I'm a wood elf.
You're not bitter. Dark elves are.
Exactly.
You should know, because you've probably eaten a few, right? Bitter, bitter, bitter. Just that.
Bardow. I might be pronouncing this wrong. Bardow or Beardow. I don't know. There's two A's there. Well, cantons of Vivec City are splendid. The meteor that hovers above it is awe-inspiring. Rumored to be held aloft by Vivec himself, Bardow is a constant reminder of the power of the tribunal and ever-present threat to the city and indeed all of Morrowind. So, I don't know about you, but why doesn't Vivec just toss it off into the ocean or something? Why does he hold it in place? I mean, that's probably written down somewhere. That's something I should probably have looked up, but
does it not say
know.
somewhere that it's taking all of his strength to keep it from crashing into, he can't, that's all he can do is stop it. Isn't that what part of Morrowind the game is about?
I mean, I haven't done the main quest yet.
I feel like I remember that being a big part of what you were tasked with was saving them from that, maybe. But maybe I'm remembering that completely wrong. I don't know.
I'll let you know when I know.
Right.
Ancestral tombs. One of the unique aspects of Dark Elf culture is their participation in ancestral worship. And when exploring Vardenfell, it's hard to not wander across a family tomb or two. Well, all ancestral tombs serve as resting place for families dead. For the Dark Elves, it is a place where they can commune with their ancestors. That's for aid or protection. You can also go in there, steal all the ashes, and sell them back to their descendants.
Gross.
Yep, it's true. And then the article goes.
Well, I was going to say that just for those that don't know this, the ancestral tombs are the things that you get the etchings from, right? They give you the scale model.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you go around and find those, there's 19 or 20 of them or something like that?
There's a bunch. It's been a while since I've done it. But yeah, and then you bring them back to the library over in one of the cantons, and then you get the little scale model of the giant thing that's in the library. And not all of the tombs that you have to get the rubbings from are... You can't enter all of them. That's the thing about them. So it's oh yeah, we'll go to this tomb and this tomb and this tomb, and they're not all enterable. Some of them are just rubble and ruins and so old and stuff.
But I don't think you have to enter any of them to get the etchings, right?
You don't.
The rubbings or whatever you call it. Yeah, I didn't think so.
No. But it's kind of sad you're missing out on all that loot. It's all just forever stuck in there. Can't loot those urns. Can you tell I've been stealing stuff around Morrowind?
Yeah, I get the impression that you've been a sneaky little wood elf.
And then it goes on to show some ESO fam and their favorite memories of Morrowind in different posts as well. But then we have the Scribes of Fate preview for this week, which by the time this episode goes live, the DLC will already be live.
When does it go live? Is it Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. So we have Scribes of Fate, Tower of the Shadow over Morrowind Adventure. Scrivener's Hall is... I totally mispronounced that. Scrivener's Hall is one of the 2 all-new dungeons included in Scribes of Fate DLC, arriving on PC and Mac on March 13th. Oh, tomorrow. It's Monday. And on Xbox and PlayStation on March 28th. We'll read the first bit, but we won't read too much because I don't want to give anyone any spoilers. Maybe skip 2 minutes ahead if you want to avoid spoilers. Just any spoilers at all, I guess. A change in leadership. Since their founding, the Scribes of Mora have dedicated their lives in secret to the Lord of Knowledge, Hermaeus Mora. However, the Scribe's longtime leader, Kishargo was recently ousted by the upstart Valina, who has other more sinister plans for the cult. Scribes of Mora were a passive organization dedicated to mapping the Daedric Plains, explains Mike Finnegan. ESO's encounters lead. Their primary goal was seeking information and gathering knowledge as it befits followers of Hermaeus Mora. However, Valina's goal is to transform the scribes into a militant force of devout zealots. Oh, things never go well when we start doing that. Well, have fun in that dungeon. I know we plan on figuring out a way to have fun in that dungeon as well. And stopping the zealots.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have if they'll have all the secret bosses and things that you can find in this one, or any new.
We're gonna have to do it blind. We're gonna have to all do it. We're gonna have to find a time, and we're just gonna have to do it blind and figure out what we can do. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, should be fun. I have to see if we can lure that other fourth person back in to run with us.
Maybe we'll see what we can do. All right. Last in our news, we have Vardenfell Weekend. We already kind of touched on that, but leading up, because this is the last weekend of it, because it was leading up to the DLC launch. It was to bring up some Morrowind stuff, remind you, hey, these are the things that happened all these years ago, for the DLC that's launching tomorrow, or launched a couple days ago if you're listening to this in purely audio format. So we had the Vardenfell achievement hunting back in February, and then last week it was the Warden class builds and battlegrounds, and as we covered earlier was the Halls of Fabrication, which was exciting for me to do. Do you know how many of the stream team members are on PlayStation?
I don't.
Two of them, and they're not even full PlayStation. The people who have access to PlayStation, there's two who advertise that they have access and do play on PlayStation. So the odds of getting in on one of those on PlayStation is very, very slim. And I didn't expect to even get in on one on PC, honestly, because I'm just such a low level on PC still, which that was amazing and fun. And doing group content now with One Tamriel, this is my experience with these. Tangent. With One Tamriel, starting out and doing group content, because I'm basically a new player on PC, is a lot different than starting out and doing group content before One Tamriel. Completely different world.
Yeah, I wasn't playing before that, so I have no frame of reference. I remember talking to someone about this game before I got it, and he talked about veteran ranks and all that, and then I started playing. I was like, none of that's here.
Yeah, it changed a few times. But yep, that's going to be ended, and that's what we have for the news. Do you have anything you want to add to those for the fun little community celebrations that they had going on? Because they all seem pretty fun. Unfortunately, just because the stream team is so PC focused, it's really for PlayStation players, because Snugpod Cast, we film on the PlayStation. We're very PlayStation-esque. There's not a lot for us to get involved in too much outside of screenshots and tours and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
But it's yeah.
Yeah, I don't maybe one day they'll reach out and say, "Hey, Snugpod Cast guys should come help us out with this stream team stuff, since y'all are a PlayStation focused show." Anyway, well, PlayStation focused in the sense that that's where we're all at and where we record. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, that is cool that you got to go hang out with them and run that.
That was so fun. I didn't expect it, and I didn't know anyone else. I knew, and they didn't know me, and so I'm just okay, I've done these. I know I've done these before. I'm just new to PC. I know what I'm doing. I'm just new to PC, and they're just completely treating me like a new player and being so welcoming and giving me gear and stuff. This is so sweet. People they're great. It was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a good community.
I'm not used to like being new in ESO anymore. I am very much so been established in ESO for a while, so the newness is new to me, I guess.
Maybe when the chapter comes out and everybody gets the Arcanist class, we should all just run around on low-level Arcanists and take off any titles or anything that might show that we're actually not new and see how people treat us. We can run around and type in chat things like, where do I get potions?
Okay, this will make anyone who's played on PC giggle. Are you ready for a silly story?
Sure.
Silly story with one time? Okay. So, the hardest part for me, the trial of that trial for me, was the fact that keyboards exist, okay? So, so when I play games, I use a controller. I have small hands, so I like my controller. It makes it easier. So I use my Xbox controller when I'm playing on PC. I don't have an Xbox right now, but I do have an Xbox controller for PC. And so I'm being told, whisper them in game. And I'm like going through the menu like I would on PlayStation using the controller. I'm like, where the heck is whisper? How do I whisper someone? And then I go to like click the thing to like interact, with someone like you would with a controller, and it's not working. And I'm like, what the heck? How is this not working? How do I do this? I'm like, okay. With my limited knowledge of PC, we're gonna because all I know is you can backslash and type reload UI, and that will fix it if things like pause on you, even if everything's fully paused. And so I know that works on PC. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna try backslash whisper, and we're gonna see how if that works. I'm like, oh, it's a real command. Okay, we got this. And then start typing name. It shows up right there. Yes. The biggest trial of that for me was learning how to use the keyboard, which I know it sounds hilarious to anyone who's actually a PC gamer is probably looking at this right now and just going like, oh my god, really, that's your okay. But as a person who's normally solely on consoles or normally doesn't do group content, that was the challenge for me. And either you got a kick out of that or you rolled your eyes. But there's a fun story.
I think you can actually use those same commands even on PlayStation, can't you?
I mean, yes, but you have to go into the type thing with the controller. Probably.
Well, I think if you connect a keyboard, I think it still works. As I used to, when I would play this game, I used to have I didn't always have it out, but I've got a wireless keyboard that I would hook up, and I would use it for whenever I needed to type stuff in game, especially when I was doing things like editing the message of the day and stuff like that for the guild. Before I started just doing it from my phone, and it was a lot easier doing that than trying to type out long message of the day changes and things like that using a controller, because I hate going back and forth on a screen. It's just aggravating. Which I know that there's the option to convert it to where you can point at the letters using the accelerometers in the controller, but to me that's awkward too. But
that sounds more frustrating.
Yeah. I'd rather just type. I took typing in high school. I can type fairly quick, so I'd just rather have a keyboard. But yeah, it's a lot easier to do that. But I don't use that keyboard much anymore because I have this mic hooked in, my headset hooked in, and a hard drive hooked in to my PS5. So no space for the little USB dongle for the keyboard on the system. But anyway. Yeah. So, that kind of does it for news, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'll get all of that stuff posted into the show notes for people to go in and check out in more in detail, because we didn't read over the entirety of these articles. One or two of them was considerably longer, but I'll put those links in there so you can check those out too and see the photos and stuff.
Yeah. Wonders of Ardenfell is just kind of like a touchstone. Definitely recommend watching the video for the developer Morrowind nostalgia, but in order to get the full effect of that one, you have to watch it yourself. Scribes of Fate. We don't want to do spoilers for anyone, especially with console coming out later than PC. So that's just a quick preview. And our Vardenfell weekend celebration is, well, it's almost Monday now. It's over.
Yep.
But we do have lore, or a sorta lore tonight, I guess.
Sort of lore.
Sorta lore. Sorta lore. So we wanted to do something different with lore, since we have, for the past few weeks, everyone's been talking about Morrowind. I wanted to this was my idea, never agreed that we could do it. Talk about OC lore, your original character. So you have your player character, you have your player character in ESO, and then whichever Elder Scrolls game was your first, whether it was Elder Scrolls or Skyrim or Morrowind or Oblivion, you had your original character there as well. Are they the same character? Are they different? When you joined ESO, did you decide to put them together? Never tell us about your Khajiit, if you don't mind. I normally don't ask. Did you just try to make a cute Khajiit, or have you slowly made a story for him over time while you've been playing with him?
He was inspired by a character in Skyrim. Skyrim was my entry point into Elder Scrolls, and I don't remember his name, but he was basically a guard to like a traveling caravan, and you'd run into him, out on the streets, and he was one of the people that he was one of the NPCs that was available as a companion. I don't remember if you had to help him first for him to be willing to travel with you, or if you just would. I think maybe if you helped his caravan when they were under attack or something, maybe. I don't remember. But anyway, he was kind of a knightly looking, heavy armor, two-hand sword. With him being kind of knightly, I sort of went with, the Templar being sort of fitting into that mold of that kind of, I guess, that archetype. And so I decided I'd make a Khajiit that inspired by him, and that's why I use, or part of why I use two-handed weapons. I might have actually started with dual wield on this character, I don't remember, but that was sort of what I had in mind originally. And if I remember correctly, even though he was wearing heavier armor, it was sleeveless armor, I think, and that's why I part of the look on this character. Maybe I'm getting some of that stuff backwards, I don't remember, but yeah, but that's where that came from. My idea was to sort of be a knightly Khajiit, but not tied to a specific order per se. I don't follow any, like I might run around and steal stuff because I am a sneaky Khajiit, even though that would tend to probably go against some of the ideals of a Templar order. But for gameplay purposes, that's just what I'm going to do. But yeah, I didn't have a huge backstory for this character. I had more backstory for my main character in Skyrim, just because the nature of that game being what it was, and kind of the freedom to go and create your own story in a sense, in the way that you can choose how you align with certain things, or whether or not you want to destroy the Dark Brotherhood or join the Dark Brotherhood, and things like that. But yeah, outside of that, there's not just a ton of backstory for this character. I have just tried to, I guess, be the big tanky, keep everybody safe, knightly kind of character with him for the most part. That's why I decided to roll tank instead of healer more often, even though I'm playing as a Templar, and Templars usually are healers. But yeah. What about you?
Any class can be whatever it wants.
Oh, for sure.
Well, the character I'm on right now, my Wood Elf, she was supposed to be disposable. Me and one of my friends, when Vardenfell came out, Morrowind came out, we're like, alright, we'll just play the new class. We'll make characters that look kind of like us, and we'll just run through and have a good time. Why not? But over time, I had fun with her gameplay, so we're slowly working on developing a backstory for her. Now that I've been starting to play on other consoles and stuff as well, her lore is basically she is a Psijic portal hopper, and she can show up in any place at any time, and she doesn't know where, and people might not always remember her. And I think that pretty well explains like how a player can just pop into different stories if they've already played it before, requesting and doing stuff like that. I do have my original character, and she has a full laundry list of a book of a backstory and everything that was actually planned out. This one not so much. It's one of those working on growing it as we go, as we're slowly playing the game here and learning about stuff, because I didn't know anything about Wood Elves when I decided to play Wood Elf. I just thought it was cool she had horns. They could have purple hair and horns. That was cool. That's what we got there. But my question for everyone, for our listeners, is because we don't talk. No one talks about their OCs enough. I don't think, because you are the player. This is your story. If you want to contact us, if you want to email us or reach out into the Discord and tell us about your OCs, I would love to hear about your OCs, your original characters, the character you play as. Why do you play as them? Just do you put time into your stories? Do you want to share your stories? Is there somewhere you actually keep your stories and lore and drawings and stuff for your characters? Or do you just like hopping on and being a meat stick and going through and having fun with friends and it doesn't really matter? That's my question for the evening.
Yeah, send that stuff into us. If you have a not entirely too long backstory and you want to write it out and send that to us in email, I'll find somebody old enough to check it for us, and maybe we'll pick some of those to read, depending on the length. Maybe not, several in an episode or anything, but
we might cliff notes it.
Yeah, that's why I said if it's not too long. If you can do a nice little summary, maybe we could read it. But yeah, send those into us, and who knows? Maybe your story makes it on the air.
And if your story's cool enough, maybe you can guest star with us if you play on PlayStation.
That is also possible. Might bring you on to tell your story yourself. You talked about the character that you started with, the character, and being a wood elf now. I think my original character in this game, because again, coming from Skyrim and liking, dragons and the whole idea of having dragon powers, I thought that was fun. I created a wood elf dragon knight. I had no idea what I was doing. Was mixing magic and stamina, trying to. I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, I was running around with a wood elf dragon knight. And my whole reason for wood elf is, I even as a kid playing games, if there was an elf option, they were usually archers, and I liked the whole wood elf archer thing, and Legolas and Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. Just I think it's fun. Bouncy little elves that shoot arrows at everything. Of course, the mechanics for bows in this game they're just different. It doesn't really, just the way that they work, it doesn't really lend itself gameplay wise to that. But that's sort of what I was thinking. Bow and arrow and some daggers and sort of the stealthy archer, sneaky type. I came into this game not really knowing how I was going to play. That's not how that works. Yeah, it doesn't play at all like that. But which is why I probably ended up abandoning it. It wasn't fitting me well. That character has since been changed to a big old giant Nord, so it still exists, just had a slight alteration to the theme. But yeah, and I don't remember if the Templar was my next character or not. But at some point, I played enough with the Templars. Like, you know what, this is just the one I'm going to stick with. Because, like I've said before, I don't have time to dedicate to playing lots of characters a lot. I will level. I have 9 fully leveled characters of each, at least one of each class, so that I can bounce around and try stuff out if I want to. It's available, but this is the one that I have all of my crafting skills and any of the things like that takes time to level up or to acquire. I've done it all in this character, so that's just where I'm hanging out. That's why I keep saying I would like for us to get class change tokens, because I want to try the Arcanist. But anyway.
So my original character was not a wood elf. She was an orc. And how I justified her being in this time, and which is kind of what the inspiration for my current character's backstory was, but I didn't want to copy it, because that just seems silly. Is the reason why she's in this time is because she was a wood orc, and she ran to Skyrim to get away from the Dominion, and so eventually, with the Mages Guild and everything, you run into the Psijics, and she made a deal with the Psijics that if she did everything they wanted her to in that era, they would send her back so she could figure out what happened to give the Dominion so much power. And that's why she's here in the second era, within the Dominion.
Nice. And now you love the Dominion.
No. No. Ren should not win. That's an entire different show. We'll save that for Mid-Year Mayhem. Okay, we'll save this topic for Mid-Year Mayhem. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that during Mid-Year Mayhem.
All right. Well, you have anything else on your characters?
I mean, yes, but we could talk about it forever. I'd rather just hear about other people's characters.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, again, send that in to us. You can tweet us, or you can email us, or you can hit us up in Discord. And yeah.
Or if you never thought about it, maybe we inspired you to write something about your character, or start thinking about why they're there, and not just having them be a murder hobo.
Yeah, it can be kind of fun sometimes to think about. It can kind of influence the way you play. I have a hard time being evil characters. So even, while I may be sneaky and stealing stuff, like being in the Dark Brotherhood is not a thing that is easy for me to do if I play a character like that. Because I'm like, I don't want to just run around murdering folks because somebody said I should. Yeah, so when you have an idea in your head of this is sort of who my character is, then when you get to the point where you have to make decisions about things, and it gives you sort of a baseline of, okay, well, would my character actually do this thing? Would I actually be joining this group, or would I actually help this person do this thing? There's not a ton necessarily that gives you meaningful choices in an MMO necessarily, but there are some things that even if it's small things, it gives you different dialogue and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely something to consider if you've never done it. Just jot down some basic ideas, or just keep them in the back of your head. Kind of fun.
Exactly.
Well.
All right, this is probably something we could dwell on forever, so I'm just going to hop into guild announcements.
Sure.
All right. So Mondays with Moki are Monday nights fishing or Cyrodiil or whatever comes up. Treacherous Tuesdays dungeons. Group up, do a dungeon. Talk with others about if you're, let's say, farming something for Oaken Soul and you need help. That this is the time to find people for a group. Of course, you can find people anytime, but this is normally the day we set aside to focus on dungeons. Wednesday Night Trials still on hold, and Fearless Friday with Arthuria, which is grouping up in the evening and doing all of the Undaunted dailies together. Because Undaunted,
we
are undaunted.
undaunted.
We sing it just as well as they do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you've got events in mind that you'd like to lead, one time or regular events, reach out to us on those things too, and let us know if you've got something in mind you'd like to do, and we can see about getting that added to the schedule. And if you're experienced in trials, or you want to jump in and help host some trials, since those are kind of officially on hold at the moment, let us know on that too, and see about trying to get that kind of stuff going. But yeah. Of course, in order to do this with the guild, you have to join the guild. So I would guess that there's probably some way of doing that, right, Gwen?
Discord.gg/loreseekerseso.
That's our official custom link.
Yeah, we're fancy. However, if you also want to talk to us about your OCs at all, you can reach out to us on Twitter at A Snugpod Cast. You could email us. You could even send us the link to, if you have a page already dedicated to your OC, because you're actually that cool and we're not. We're what were they saying? Chaotic. We keep all of our OC information in our brains. So you could email us your stories at snugpodcast@gmail.com. If you are watching live, or you would like to watch us live, you can watch us live on twitch.tv/snugpodcast, or on YouTube at snugpodcast. Or if you are listening to the audio version and you would like to see the video format later, you can watch us and slowly see the Snugpod turn into a Hermaeus Mora themed library at YouTube. Search for Snugpod Cast.
Yep, and if you want to listen, if you're watching this on video and would rather listen, just check your podcast app. Just search Snug Podcast, and you should be able to find us there too. So, yep, not too hard to reach us. Snug Podcast everywhere. All right, folks. I think that pretty well does it for us. Should be probably seeing more stuff roll out if you follow anybody in the community with YouTube or Twitch or whatever on PC. You should be seeing lots of stuff with the next DLC coming right away, because it's starting tomorrow.
This is also your warning that if you don't want spoilers, maybe stay off social media for a week.
Yep. If you're a PlayStation player, or Xbox for sure, because you're going to be seeing all that stuff. You're going to be like, wait, that's not in my game. And then you're going to get,
not everyone is polite.
Correct.
Yep, not everyone censors their spoilers.
Yep, some people make a
this
point
is your
to spoil
warning.
stuff. Yep. All right, well, you have anything else, Gwen?
Nope, that's it.
Awesome. Well, all right, it was fun. And we will hopefully be back next week with everyone in the Snug Pod. And until then, we hope you have a good night, a good week, and we will catch you later.
Goodbye.
And since she's not here, I'll just say sleep well, Tamriel. Have a good night.
It felt weird saying it. I can't do it. It's hers.
maybe I should just clip her saying it and record it in when she's not here.
Oh my gosh, yes, do it. Everyone would be so confused.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Little extra video editing for you.